Army, I literally 10 minutes ago just got the Zoom with Aaron Sorkin for his trial of Chicago 7. So
Oh, did you? Good.
I'm trying to do the Social Network junket in one day today. So
there you go. There you go. Good luck getting Finch on the phone.
Yeah, exactly.
Maxim de Winter. His wife died last year and is in dire need of company.
I'm asking you to marry me, you little fool.
Mrs. de Winter, may I present Mrs. Danvers?
Welcome to Manderley.
The thing I find most interesting about this story in general is that the arguably most important character is someone who we never get to see. And so, Lily, I will ask you this because I'm sure her shadow hangs over your character the most. How much weight does the character of Rebecca have at all in your preparation? Do you actually consider her a co-star as you're putting together your character?
Yeah, yes, you do. Because, the impact that Rebecca has on her is just humongous. I mean, it's her ghost and her presence, and even worse, not the imagination that she has of this woman is what is her downfall. It completely spirals her into a state of total confusion and anxiety and misery. And so, because your fear, your picture of someone is often worse than the reality. We were saying it's kind of like social media. You think this person's so perfect because of how they portray themselves, but underneath it all, they're just as screwed up as the rest of us. So yeah, it's she was definitely a character. I became, and aside from that, she becomes totally obsessed with her. So she was never far from my thoughts. Which is really an interesting thing to have such a lead character and her not ever be present. It's a cool trick that Daphne du Maurier pulled.
Also love that the movie doesn't show like a flashback or anything that helps us visualize her. It's always left to the audience's imagination.
I think it has to be, because as soon as you see her, it kind of ruins her mystery and her power. I think she has to be a figment in my imagination and the audience's. I think that's important.
I think there's also something to the fact that if she's obviously not nameless, but if she is faceless and shapeless, you can fill her with whatever your own interpretation is. Because I think everybody has something like a Rebecca in their past. Mm-hmm. So if you never give it its own distinct shape, everyone will, nature abhors a vacuum.
And do you actually consider her as a co-star? Is she someone that you consider as you're putting your character together?
Yes, but she's always at lunch. No, I think, no, seriously, she is very, very potent, that's for sure. She is the engine that drives Mrs. Danvers. So she is at the heart of Mrs. Danvers, and Mrs. Danvers sort of wallows in her and is totally obsessed, as you say. She's really, really driven by her. And this wanting to keep her alive somehow by revering her memory. I think that is a very intriguing character to bring into a story. This woman who is constantly living for somebody who is no longer with us.
I wonder what she's thinking about you. Taking her husband, using her name.
I admire the fact that they don't rely on any type of like a flashback or something to paint a visual of the character. It's completely left to the audience's imagination.
Yeah, and her presence is very, very strong. And that's through the brilliant set design, through even the way Mrs. Danvers appears, because we're told about Rebecca's wonderful long dark hair, and oh look, Mrs. Danvers has got long dark hair as well, and she seems to have modeled herself impossibly on this much, much, much younger woman who's now dead. And she has taken on all what she thinks to be the traits of the physical traits of Rebecca. She's trying to embody her somehow, and I think that was really interesting for me as well.
Mrs. Danvers, does Mr. De Winter ask you to keep the room like this?
It doesn't have to. She's still here. You feel her.
You actually think of her as another role in your ensemble?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it affects the art department primarily, because there's objects of hers and there's the tracking of the objects through the film, and then her room, which is a major part, and her various bits of clothing. Then it also affects soundtrack as well. So she has themes which kind of swell up and suggest that she's there and come back down again throughout the movie. And and then it's just the other impact of it is tonal. You know, it's like, how do you deal with Rebecca? How do you, what side do you sit on the reality of what's being said about her and the moral position of the film to her? You know, and I think that's a knotty problem, you know, because there's various voices that are giving us information, but how true are any of them?
Credit to you making hairbrushing very intimidating as well, too.
That was quite fun to do, actually, I have to say.
Kristin was just telling me in a previous room that she got, and I'm going to quote, quite a lot of fun out of brushing your hair. I'm going to assume your interpretation of that scene was very different.
No, like my neck is sort of permanently damaged by the brute force that Kristin Scott Thomas has when wielding a hairbrush. No, you know what? Actually, it was fun. I mean, to get to do scenes with Kristin, she's formidable. She's fucking marvelous in every way, and so it was even when she was pulling my hair, it was a thrill. And Armie pulled my hair too. There was a dream sequence that never ended up in the movie, where they all started brushing my hair, and that was a serious neck situation that night.
It was a full day of just brushing Lily's hair like maniacs.
You can talk to me about her. I have no secrets from you.
All marriages have their secrets.
When there are previous adaptations of any story that you are tackling, I'm curious what your relationship with it ends up being. Is it something that you avoid altogether? Do you lean back on it to see how certain scenes are played?
No, I think, well, for a start, the really famous version of this novel is the Alfred Hitchcock version, which is a beautiful, beautiful film. And of course, I've seen that many, many times. I think most people of my generation have seen it at least twice, you know. I'm not sure that people nowadays know it so well, but certainly, you know, my generation were avid fans. But since then, there have been a lot more, you know, and there was one particular one made by the BBC in the 1980s, I think, where Anna Massey played Mrs. Danvers, and she was absolutely terrifying. And if you ask a lot of people in England of my generation who is the scariest Mrs. Danvers, and they will say Anna Massey. I'm not sure they will now, but you know, I think that, you know, you mustn't be afraid of looking at those things, but you know, but make your own mind up. And I read the book a couple of times, and I actually knew a bit about Daphne du Maurier before, so you know, I'm a keen Daphne du Maurier reader. So.
I didn't watch anything until after we were done filming. I didn't want to be tainted. You know, I mean, I got my own thing going here. I don't need Larry to fucking get up and take my shit, you know?
It's a safe way to play it.
I said I want the truth.
You didn't know her. Nobody did.
I am not familiar with her writing, and I would like to be, because there's a line that really caught me, and I wonder if it's hers.
In what particular moments in your young life would you bottle?
It really just caught me, and I'm curious what moments from your making of Rebecca are you going to bottle and take away with you? What's the moment that stands out the most?
Do you know, I think working in these amazing houses, I mean, they were so beautiful. And the excitement of being with Ben, walking along the corridor at Hatfield, which is that beautiful long corridor with all the light coming in through the windows. It just looked so lovely. And seeing in Ben's eyes this kind of glint of excitement, and just being so thrilled to be making this film. And that is the sort of thing that you makes you get up in the morning and want to go to work.
It's fantastic. I refer to the movie as architecture porn, because it's you can just yes. look at the set for hours upon hours. So.
When we did the research, like the where it's set in Cornwall was where du Maurier had a house called Menabilly. But when you look at Menabilly, it's tiny. It's not a big house at all. And that was curious. And then she'd visited a house when she was a kid, which it's supposedly based on. We went to that house and talked to the people there, and you got the staircase and all the bits. But it's a perfectly amazing house, but it's still not how it's described in the book. And we kind of started to understand that it was really like a dream space. It wasn't really a real house, and we'd never find this house. So what we ended up doing is making it out of lots of houses. So it's about 5 or 6 different locations, UK locations, and some builds as well.
I have to get you out of here on this one too. Seeing you in period garb, Armie, brings us back to Man from U.N.C.L.E., of course, and at CinemaBlend we are driving the bandwagon for the sequel. Not that I'm asking for
Why
any kind
is
of
there not a
update.
sequel to that movie? It's so good.
No idea. Trust me, if someone was like, hey, you want to do a sequel? I'd be like, hell yeah, let's go.
Well, that's why I was curious. Like, are you aware of the amount of passion that's out there for that film?
I mean, I hear it. I get people being like, are you going to do a sequel for that? Are you going to do a sequel for that? The answer is, I hope so. I'd love to. Yeah, at one point, Lionel Wigram, who was the producer and also who wrote the original script, he and I kind of like talked about ideas, and he told me an idea that he had for it. I was like, that sounds great. Whatever your idea is, let's just do it. Yeah, I don't know, man. Keep pushing. Hopefully one day we can do it. I'd love to.
I went to that set, and you and Henry in period garb you two look like you were carved from marble. It was like unfair to the rest of us as a species.
We can't go on living in that big old house with her ghost. I don't believe in ghosts.